Hey guys, welcome to Juicy Tea, where I read out the best stories on Reddit, so you don't have to. The funny, shocking, and satisfyingly juicy. Today's video is Who's in the Wrong Wednesday, where you get to decide who's right and who's wrong. Am I the a-hole for refusing to get married without a prenup? Posted by Danny People. I, 29 male, proposed to my fiancée, 27 female, a few months ago. We'd taken a trip to Italy and I proposed over a romantic dinner. Call it cheesy, but she loved it and gave me an enthusiastic yes. Ever since we returned home, she's been absolutely obsessed with planning every single detail, sometimes to the extent of calling me when I'm at work to confirm colours or styles of certain decor. I work in tech, it's a pretty well-known company, and my job pays decently. My girlfriend works in retail. Obviously, she doesn't make as much money as me, but I don't mind financially supporting her. About a week ago, we were enjoying a nice dinner that she'd cooked. We'd both had a long day and wanted some time to relax. While talking at the table, my fiancé brings up the legal details of our wedding. I listen and nod as she speaks, occasionally cutting in to ask a question or give input. Towards the end of our discussion, I made a comment about prenups. Something along the lines of, I think we should file for a prenup at the same time as we're filing for our license. As soon as I finished saying this, I could see my fiancé's stomach drop. Her entire demeanor changed, and she had an expression somewhere between anger and hurt. She explained that we didn't need a prenup, and quote, it's just pointless. She expressed that she planned on staying married forever, so a prenup wouldn't matter anyway. I said that having a prenup would just make me feel more comfortable, and that it was just a precaution. She seemed visibly upset by this and countered with, do you not trust me? I explained that it had nothing to do with trust. It was simply about having it in place in the event if something were to happen. She snapped, saying I was being unreasonable and that if I didn't trust her to just say so. I raised my voice and said, I do trust you. I just want the prenup as a safety measure since I make more than you. She looked shocked and said nothing, but I kept going. A prenup makes me more comfortable. If you don't want to sign one, then that's fine, but I can't get married without it. She stormed off, walking out the front door with her keys in her hand. I heard the car start and rushed out, but she had already left before I could stop her. I've been texting and calling. No response. The only sort of contact I've received was a message from her mother explaining that she'd be staying with her until things cooled down. I feel bad for what I said, and I do regret the way I acted. However, I don't feel like my request was too much. So, am I the a-hole? Update. It's been about a day since the initial post. I still haven't heard anything from my fiancé. I've considered going to her mother's house, but that feels like an overstep. I don't want to shake things up while they're still tense. For everyone asking, I own the house we currently live in. I own my own car and she owns hers. I pay over 50% of the bills, which I don't mind because I understand that she doesn't make as much as I do. We also don't plan on having kids. It's just not a goal of ours. I've taken some time to reflect on the whole event and I'm still not sure if I'm completely at fault. I want to stay with this amazing woman and I definitely should have mentioned a prenup prior. I figured since we see eye to eye on pretty much everything, we'd see eye to eye on this as well. Obviously, that wasn't the case. I agree with what JSin1701 says down in the comments. I definitely agree that he should be protecting his assets, but I could also see someone like him having a very one-sided prenup. Assets acquired during marriage are marital property. If she ends up being a stay-at-home mum, she shouldn't be completely screwed. He seems more concerned with protecting himself and not concerned about her needs at all. A prenup needs to take both people into account. Yeah, I agree. If she quits work and spends a decade raising kids and doing household chores, the funds should be split equally, as she's contributed equally. Just because they don't plan for kids doesn't mean they won't happen. Also, it kinda sounds like things are already leaning in that direction. He pays more towards the bills, and after they've both had a long day at work, she cooks them dinner. I actually do think he's the a-hole here. Not because he wants a prenup, but because he specifically said he wants a prenup because he makes more than her, not that he has more than her. He's not trying to protect assets that he already had coming into the marriage. He's trying to protect the money he earns while married, and while she's contributing more in other ways, like housework, which she can't reclaim in the event of a divorce. Am I the a-hole? clean the kitchen for a family member with new babies, apologise but it still comes up. Posted by Accomplished Day 6891. This happened many years ago. It still gets brought up now, which is why I'm asking. When my cousin and his wife had 2 new babies, born 11 months apart, I was over to watch the babies so they could have some time together. His wife had been talking all night about how insanely stressed their kitchen was making her. She was so overwhelmed by it, but just couldn't seem to find the time or energy to fix it, and I totally get it. I'm also a mum, and it's so easy for stuff to escape you when you have a little one, so while they were gone, after I got the babies to sleep, I went in there and deep cleaned it. You monster OP, how could you? Like, took everything out, wiped down the shelves, did the dishes, scrubbed the floor, and cleaned the stove. I really wanted to try and relieve some of that stress because I get it. So when they got home, my cousin's wife freaked out. This is where I think I might be the a-hole. When I was putting away the dishes, I opened the cabinet for pots and pans and everything came tumbling out, so I stacked it back in neatly. What I didn't know at the time was that my cousin's wife stacked it that way intentionally for her system of cooking. She was so upset about the cabinet being rearranged and the way the dishwasher had been loaded. I also feel like maybe I should have asked if it was okay to do it. I apologised profusely and explained that I was just trying to help relieve some pressure, but I can see that my impact was not that, and I was truly sorry. This is why I'm asking about it now. This story still comes up, often, in front of me. It's always used as an example by my cousin's wife of someone being inappropriate. She never uses my name, but always tilts her head towards me when telling the story, and tells people what an overstep it was, and how some people just don't have any respect for other people's systems. I know I crossed the boundary now. I get that by not checking in first, I misplaced some things. And I totally get how, while she was so overwhelmed, it probably felt like another thing out of control, but to still bring it up years later, as if it was some malicious boundary crossing, they took it upon themselves to go into my kitchen and reorganize everything, completely leaving out the meltdown she'd been having about the kitchen, or that I'd apologise profusely for crossing a boundary. I definitely learned to ask before doing something like that, but was I really such an a-hole that should still come up years later as a dig at someone for being an a-hole? So guys, is OP an a-hole? This is nuts. I like to do things a certain way too, but if someone does you a favour, appreciate it, damn! It's not like she invited herself into your bedroom and rearranged your undie drawer. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that her behaviour towards my husband is inappropriate? Posted by a throwaway account. My sister Lily and I have never really been close for a lot of reasons. She has always been difficult to get along with, and our relationship has never been very good. Growing up, she was very resentful and bitter. Between the two of us, I was the one who was more conventionally attractive, and I'm more outgoing than she is. This always made me more popular in high school and college, especially with the guys, and she's always hated me for it. Lily is one of those girls that thinks she's better than everyone because she doesn't wear makeup or like traditionally girly things. You know the type. It was never fair because Lily would never try to make herself look more attractive, just go out in shapeless clothes and no makeup, and then get mad when I'd get attention because I actually put effort into my appearance. She was also very judgmental of my clothes and behaviour, and would take every opportunity to slut-shame me for my choices in who I dated. Anyway, Lily graduated from school in May and got a decent job, but she asked if she could stay with me and my husband for a while, just to save money, or so she said, and keep bills low until she could afford a better apartment. I agreed to let her stay with us until the end of the year, but I'm seriously regretting it now. She's developed a crush on my husband and can't stop trying to get attention. Before, Lily would wear sweats around the house, never put on makeup, and would never show her body. But now she's around my husband, she's done a complete 180. She's sleeping in basically lingerie and will wear skimpy outfits downstairs in front of him to try and get his attention. Lily has also started wearing makeup, even when she's just hanging around the house, so it's not like she's going out. She's only putting it on because she's going to be around my husband. She's also hanging around him, trying to spend time with him and trying to butt into our personal time together. I'm not actually worried about my husband having feelings for her. She's not his type at all. But Lily has been going seriously overboard with how hard she's trying to get his attention, and I'm getting seriously annoyed. I've mentioned her behaviour a couple of times, but Lily just waves me off and pretends like she's not doing it. Last week, we had a party where a bunch of our friends came over to watch football, and Lily was there. Now, in the past, Lily would have probably just worn some kind of baggy sports t-shirt, because she just has to show that she's not like other girls. But she ended up coming downstairs in a tiny red dress that basically had her tits hanging out and a face full of makeup. She looked ridiculous. I was so embarrassed because it was obvious that she was trying so hard. I overheard one of our friends, Mary, telling her how great she looked. I was so annoyed that Lily had gotten to this point that I cut in and I pointed out that her dress was a little too much and there was no reason for her to try so hard because there aren't any guys at the party who'd be interested in her. It was true. Most of them are happily married, including my husband. Lily got mad and ran up the stairs to throw a tantrum, the way she always does when she gets called out for being a pick-me. But Mary got mad at me and called me an a-hole. No one else was around, so no one even heard the exchange. It's not like I exposed Lily's behaviour to the entire room. I just reminded her that she was being ridiculous by trying too hard. I told Mary about Lily's behaviour around my husband, and that the reality check was one that's been needed for a while. But Mary's still calling me an a-hole, and telling some of our other friends about it, but painting the exchange completely differently from how it actually happened. Lily's still mad, and hasn't come back downstairs, except to go to work. So tell me, am I the a-hole, or did Lily actually need that reality check? Remember, I post new content every day, so subscribe for more juicy tea.